Okay guys, here we are, opening day, first snare. We got a coon in here. Medium size, pretty good size coon. Looks like he's caught pretty well. Right here's our snare stand that we had right there. There's our wire snare stand. He's actually hung around the neck on that snare, so he's just about choked out. Yeah. We'll put him out of his misery and move on. Okay guys, this is our snare that we put in yesterday. And you can see here's our stake right here. The snare's wrapped around it at the base. Down here at the bottom we got a small raccoon in there. Not quite the rabbit we were hoping for, but you know what? Food's food. And little mink snare like that don't weigh a whole lot. Little mink snare like that doesn't weigh a whole lot. He's coming after me now. Little mink snare like that doesn't weigh a whole lot, and you can carry a dozen of them like you're nothing. You catch one animal in that thing and it's going to be ruined. You can tell by looking at this thing, it's completely wasted. So now we're going to have to get him out of there and take care of him. But anyway. Okay, we got a nice big fat bull right here in a number 11 Sleepy Creek double long spring, just like the ones we saw on our website. Them things will catch animals. This is a monster coon. This thing probably weighs 20-25 pounds. Big boar. And he's right there in that Sleepy Creek number 11. He ain't going anywhere. Nice looking coon. Another raccoon right here. Not as big, a little bit smaller raccoon, but he's in got a front catch on that trap, so that's a perfect catch on that coon. And both of those traps are within probably 15, 18 feet of each other. Catty corner in a trail. It's a double. Okay, here's another possum. Perfect example of a 220 complete body catch, neck and body. You can see I just fenced off that log right there. So when he ran the bank, he had to go underneath that log or go out into deeper water. And the trap was submerged about 2 inches underwater, maybe something like that, and chained to one of the stakes that's in the ground there, creating the fencing. Path of least resistance was to go through that 220 conibear in the water. Perfect catch. Morning guys, Dave Canterbury at the Pathfinder School. What I wanted to do this morning was I wanted to have a quick discussion about traps in general and the cost effectiveness of traps and trapping, both short term and long term. Now, in the short term, for emergency scenarios, snares will catch plenty of animals. I've got plenty of video on the web now of me catching lots of animals in snares, from coyotes all the way down to small raccoons and possum. So you can supply yourself in meat pretty easily with a snare. Here's the problem with snares. This is a snare that a raccoon was in, okay? It's a one-shot deal. That snare is done. There's no using that again for anything other than maybe a cable to rake a hide across if you were trying to tan it so you could break the hide. Other than that, this snare is garbage now. So that's $3 down the drain. In a survival situation, it's not down the drain because you fed yourself. But in a longer term situation, you might want to think in other directions, okay? 110 conibear traps, very, very good. The 110 body grip traps, very good. 220s, very good. 110 small, lightweight, not a problem. They'll kill a lot of stuff. But for my money, on a long-term situation, I would carry conibears with snares for a short-term situation. But for long-term, I'm going to go with leg hold type traps. You can catch anything in a leg hold type trap. Right now I'm running, my experiment is for this season I'm going to run a dozen traps. So I've got 12 traps out, and that includes snares. So if I've got snares out, that precludes me from using these type traps. So right now I've got 3 snares out, I think, and I've got The rest, the other 9, are all foothold type traps. But these foothold type traps last forever. You're not going to destroy this thing. Now let's talk about the merits between and the cost, okay? The cost of a leg hold trap like this is like a number 3 double long spring. Cost of this might be 10 bucks. But one of these traps, a number 11 double long spring that I've got, has probably caught 15 animals already in that one trap. So figure this, 3 bucks times 15, that's $45 in snares to do the same thing that one trap would do that's going to last forever. It's just a thing of weight versus rate. And for me, you know, cost effectiveness long term, this is where the money's at. Now I prefer the long spring type traps, either a single long spring or a double long spring, really over the coil springs, for the same reasons that I prefer the 12 gauge shotgun. Simplicity, lack of moving parts, easy maintenance. This thing has coiled springs on it. The frames bend fairly easy on some of these traps, and they don't work as well as they should. It's really hard to destroy one of these old long springs. You can buy long spring traps like this at rummage sales and garage sales and flea markets and things of that nature and get them pretty cheap, or you can buy brand new ones and still get them, you know, anywhere from, a real expensive one's going to cost you 15 bucks. A less expensive one's going to cost you somewhere between, you know, 5 and 8, probably somewhere in that neighborhood. But you can catch animals forever on this thing. You're never going to destroy it. I've got traps I still catch animals in that I know are old Victor Oneida traps that I know are 30, 40 years old. I've probably caught hundreds of animals, and they're still catching. These things will catch a lot of animals. There's no question about it. I've caught a lot of animals in them. They're a little bit more difficult to set because you don't have as much area to grab onto to flex those springs, number 1. So they're a little bit more dangerous to set. Number 2, I don't think there's bulletproof just because of the design and the spring design. I don't think there's bomb-proof or bulletproof as this trap is. I also think that these would tend to freeze up a little bit faster. I could be wrong completely on that one. I haven't gone through a dead winter yet with them. But I prefer the long spring type traps for long term. Again, cost effectiveness, it's always going to be steel traps over snares. Short term, I would go with the snares and the 110 body grip type traps. If I'm going for longer term stuff, I'm going to graduate from those 110s to at least 120s with a double spring on each side, or, you know, carrying a few 220s, because a 220 is going to catch a full grown coon or anything else, a full grown possum. Anything that puts his head and shoulders in this thing is going to be waxed. There's no question about it. No suffering, no messing around. They're going to be dead. You could even kill a beaver in one of these. A 330 would be better, but a 220 will take beaver. So those are the things you have to think about short term versus long term. But I wanted to kind of talk to you guys about cost effectiveness, because everybody is all about snares, snares, snares. For longer term sustainability, snares are not where it's at. The foothold and larger body grip traps are where it's at. Just my 2 cents on that. I wanted to have that discussion with you guys this morning. I appreciate you joining me for this video. I appreciate everything you do for me, for my school, and for my family. I'll be back with another video as soon as I can.